So guys, hi. Time for a small update. I didn't do something video-like in the last couple of months. I think it's overdue to tell you what's going on with MON RêVE, with me and our journey. We're good. We're afloat. We're still in Key West. I work on very urgent boat projects. I had actually the front stay ripping out of the bow because I didn't have a steel plate underneath of it. I checked on all the other stays, but not on the front stay. The result was that it nearly ripped out, but when I was luckily already in the marina in Key West. So this was very good. Went to a local metal worker who supported me with a proper plate. Renewed the screws, they were all broken, 6 screws. I guess I will somewhere have to upgrade them in the future. They now are M6, they have 6 mm in diameter. And I want to upgrade them to something like M8 minimum, but it would be M10. This would be absolutely secure from my point of experience. As I said, this was the first project. The second one was the panel, the wooden panel in the cockpit where you step on and walk on and stuff, was breaking alongside its fibers. So it was breaking like something like this and creating very sharp edges. This then would have meant that I would have massacred my feet. That doesn't make sense, so it must be at least removed and ideally replaced, and very, very ideally also upgraded, which I did. I replaced the old panels with new wooden panels. I created from 2 old wooden panels 1 single panel, which I now also, what's very good in the upgrade, I can also raise in the cockpit to create an even platform for as a sun deck or as a sleeping opportunity on deck. Then we have still the auto helm issue. I had the electronic auto helms, you maybe watched this in the last video, and they were inaccurate for ocean crossings. Created this interim solution with a steering sail, it worked fine, I could even fine trim it at the end, but I still found out that it would be way better if it would be something rigid, like a wing. So I created this wing to a certain stage. I first decided on a neck up profile 12. Neck up profile 12 is symmetrical, but it was too thick. So I slimmed it down, I narrowed it down to half the thickness, and then I found out that the suction spikes at the leading edge are so high that from an attacking angle from more than 4 grades, this would be, boundary layers would detach themselves from the surface, creating no power, no force, no momentum, nothing. So then I rounded the leading edge up, and this vicious behavior got softened. Then I also designed that wing, the second prototype of the wing, that it is gonna be mounted at the stay. The stay is in front of the leading edge, working as a turbulator, making a turbulent airflow, which then softens up the boundary layers even more, making them more forgiving for my quite sharp leading edge now. Good. Let's go to the wing. To the new steering wing. So the steering wing first got created somewhat in CAD, and then I fine-tuned it also on paper, and the wing now has this shape from top to bottom. This then will be the hole where I attach the lines to, and I would say it's an acceptable shape for this. Everybody who builds surfboards will immediately find out that in fact I created a surfboard blank with sprayed foam, grinded it down. As a next step I will glass it, and then we will see. Then there's a last project which is very, very important, and I will start in Key West still, is to mount the wastewater tanks. There's grey water and there's black water. Mount them into the bow. I found out that also, this is another thing. As one of the mere incidents of the boat, I found out on why the boat is leaking. The boat is not leaking from the outside, but it was leaking from the inside. I had my internal water tank and I thought it would be all fine. It was a water bag, more like. This is a very smart design, because you have as little as possible contacting the water surface or the water itself. So it is compacted, there's no algae growth, there's none of these nasty surprises which can occur on a sailing vessel, especially on a sailing vessel. So the unfortunate thing was they had tube clamps wrapped around the tube fittings, the hose fittings, and these clamps have sharp edges, and they then were, to protect the circumference, they were wrapped with gloves, working gloves. They cut them in stripes and zip tied them around these clamps so they don't pierce the water bag. Well, as I sail and as I go sailing, this boat moves and is moving heavily, and already in my third or fourth video I guess I pierced the bag. It was going hard, it was hard weather, and at the coast of the Netherlands still, and there also my leaking started. You maybe want to watch, you're free to do so. The bag was pierced, it was spilling out, and always when the vessel was heeling over, then the whole compartment would spill into the rest, into the so-called bow, and this was the so-called leaking reason. Now the vessel is perfectly dry. This is an awesome boat. You just have to work on it. And then my guessing is most boats are awesome. You just have to put your hands on them and work on them. This boat now is perfectly dry. It is awesome to see it like that. You know, it's dry. When rain sets, nothing comes in anymore. I bought big seals. Yes, American seals. Sealed the old motor compartment, the old engine compartment now, so that is dry. It can rain like in buckets, and no problem anymore. Good. So the next urgent project is then to use the space of the old water tank to prepare it for the new water tanks, for the wastewater water tanks, for the grey and the black water tanks. They need to be mounted and need to follow laws. Right now I have interim solutions with big plastic bottles where I catch the wastewater and dump it then appropriately according to the local laws. Then this is a huge amount of work. It is very much effort to put into that, but I must follow it, of course. And once I have these tanks installed, then I have to create the plumbing appropriate for both dumping in the international waters, which is acceptable and allowed, and also for the suction pump out boats, for the suction pump out possibilities, which are at special boats here in Key West, but also at marinas, where you just attach a certain snorkel with a specified stud or so, a special stud, and then with under pressure, with suction, you kick that stuff out again. So this is very, very important. It is not possible to go any different like this, because with the panel and the renewal of the panel I avoid a massacre with my feet. With the wind vane I still get my vessel in a position of being able to do crossings. With that, no journey. With no journey, I'm done. Sad to say, but this is the truth. And then as the last thing, of course, very, very important, wastewater tanks. Wastewater tanks, they must be done now. And then further projects, because I have so many things to do on a vessel, which is true for any boater, because when he or she sees his little baby, immediately ideas pop up. I should do this better, I should do that better. And my guessing is when I've done these three things, then I'll go on to the electrics, because they become rotten in these hemispheres, in these warm zones of our planet. It's very humid. Even the switches start to rust, and I thought they would be fine. I thought they would be stainless steel. I was wrong. No problem. I bought new ones. They are American switches now, made out of resin for cars and trucks and stuff like that. They're big, they have extra lights in them. This is of course luxurious for me, because then I see with one glimpse what is turned on, what is turned off. It's very good. I learn, you see, I learn what's important. I immediately have an eye, hey, this is good for my vessel, this is not good for my vessel, this is good for my journey, this is even dangerous for my journey, or would create something like massacres on my feet. This whole thing is a huge, huge learning process. And it's not only the boat. I mean, I get so many people, different cultures and attitudes and viewpoints to know that I'm amazed. The longer I'm on this, the longer I'm really amazed in what's going on our beautiful planet. Now guys who maybe have another perception of this, you maybe think, oh, there's war going on, and oh, there's shortage here, and oh, there's a problem there. But honestly, the longer I'm away, the longer I see good people who help each other, who are there for one another, who take care on one another. And I follow this path. I follow this path. It's difficult to describe in words what feeling this is like. I get it all. I asked for it, and I get it all with huge amounts. I become whacked. Then I'm happy that I'm still conscious. I can do something. Actually, that I'm alive. But good. I become whacked. I become sun. I get the sun. I can suntan myself. Then I have all the supplies. But after a couple of weeks, after 5 or 6 weeks, I find one apple somehow draining in the water. You know, there was still water in the vessel. It's floating in the water, and this is why it's also fresh. And I find after 2 or 3 weeks one apple, and then I eat this thing, and I say, man, we are so rich. Maybe if you watch this, maybe you can open your mind in front of my experience, what I try as good as possible to explain with words. Maybe you also become more grateful for what you have in your life, because it's so precious. Look, point number 1, you have your time. Point number 2, you have your health. And point number 3, don't you have every day something to eat, and something fresh, and something good water to drink, you know, and you don't have to take care on the water, because if you cannot live on salt water solely. You can wash your clothes, you can wash yourself anytime. When you sleep, you don't have to worry about weather, or worst case about storms and about setup. You can sleep more than 2 hours in 24 hours a day. Maybe you want to reconsider your situation as very good. If you, of course, live in the normal society or corporate world. For me, this life is absolutely perfect. As I said, I asked for it. I continue this path. And that's pretty much it for now. Dear people, enjoy your time, enjoy yourselves, and see you next time.